Kyle Henderson of Bama football on YouTube. Smoke 'em if you got 'em. Alabama beats Tennessee. Florida just fires Billy Napier. We got one hell of a show coming up next right here on Bama football on YouTube. Family, what's going on? Kyle Henderson, Bama football on YouTube. My goodness, that coaching carousel is going to get ready to continue to heat up, right? You got James Franklin recently, and now you have Billy Napier. You guys see this? Run the thumbs up on this video. I appreciate y'all being here. Did you guys get any sleep, right? Are you still partying? Are you still happy following Alabama beating Tennessee 37-20? Let me know inside the comment box your excitement about beating Tennessee, right? Third weekend in October. Man, Alabama does it big on a national stage. You know, we got some national news to talk about. I'm going to go over the coaches' top 25. The AP top 25 should be dropping probably like in 10 minutes. So I get college football, talk Alabama football, all that and more today. Get comfy, get checked in. We're going to have one hell of a show. So I appreciate you being here. Let me know where you're watching from inside the comment box. And yeah, we got a great show lined up to you today. All right, so look, are you shocked to see Billy Napier gets fired? And most importantly, let me ask you, who do you think gets a job like this? I know for a long time people have been like, yo, man, this is Lane Kiffin's job. This is where Lane Kiffin's supposed to be. It seems to me like everybody wants, yes, I need to put a title graphic on. So let me put this on because I know people are going to be like, what, you got fired? Did you see you got fired? So I'm going to talk about Billy Napier for the first like 7 minutes of the show because everybody is going to be in here asking about that. So let me just put it so you guys officially know this, all right? All right, there we go. All right, so welcome on in. In case you missed it, yes, this is true. Billy Napier just got fired. And I know sometimes people are like, it's not even on ESPN yet. Yeah, it takes ESPN and a lot of people like time to get stuff up. I go live every day at 1 p.m. on Sunday, so I'm already ready to go, right? I'm not shocked to see Billy Napier get fired. I'm really not. But I think, you know, when you, look at Florida not winning games, the SEC is a gauntlet. You're going to, coaches are going to get fired. So you have James Franklin out at Penn State. You have Billy Napier out at Florida. And probably some other coaches as well. I mean, I would imagine that coming up next on kind of the coaching carousel watch list in terms of the coaches that are going to be fired, you have quite a few, right? As you kind of look to this graphic right here, these are the other coaches that are on the hot seat. And by the way, Billy Napier is fired. So if you're just checking in, you're like, what's going on? Oh my goodness, I just woke up. I can't find my car keys. I can't find my wallet. Hopefully you didn't have one of those type of nights. All right, so if you're just waking up, Billy Napier fired. And, did you see this when you woke up? Did you see that Florida State also lost? This is crazy. Florida State lost last night to Stanford. Man, so Florida State, they're now 3-4 in the season. Talk about a crash out, man. Oh, my goodness. So could Mike Norvell be fired? I saw this morning that everybody's talking, like the board is talking about firing Mike Norvell. His contract right here, right? And if you're in here, Napier's gone, okay? So they paid that $20.4. $20.4 million, doesn't that sound like nothing now? You're like, oh, that's nothing, right? They fired him. Mike Norvell's probably on the hot seat as well. And then you have Hugh Freeze, right? $15 million. You think that Hugh Freeze gets fired? Yes or no inside the comment box. Man, what a wild, wild scene. And you also have James Franklin. I wonder if Mike Norvell gets fired, because I talk to people all over the country about different programs and stuff like that. Remember, I've been in the industry for like 20 years. So don't think that I don't have know people. I wonder if Coach Prime goes to Florida State. I kind of think that might be the play, all right? So kind of news before news, I think my prediction is if Mike Norvell gets fired at Florida State, I think that Coach Prime will be the next football coach at Florida State. Yeah, also you have UCLA open, right? Penn State open. I don't know what's going to happen with Freeze at Auburn if he gets fired. But, I mean, man, 0-4 in SEC play, that just isn't it. So, absolutely wild college football scene. But before I can get on my top 25 rankings, do y'all think that Hugh Freeze and Mike Norvell will both be fired as well? Right? Okay, here we go. I know you guys are all checking in. So breaking news. I'll put it on the ticker too. Breaking news. Napier just got fired. I know there's a lot of people just checking in. I get it. Does this help you? Maybe I'll put it up on the top. Because I want to make sure you guys, let's see. I'll just put it at the very, very top. Breaking news. Billy Napier fired at Florida. That way I can continue the show in peace. Otherwise, people just be coming in. Can you guys see it at the top? And I need you, as I start my show right now, what I need from you, every time somebody says Billy Napier fired, tell them, we got it. We covered it. We got it. We covered it. We got it. We covered it. All right. Here we go. AP Coaches Poll. Appreciate y'all being here. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to go over the Coaches Poll, and then I'm going to show you the AP Poll. It should be dropping probably right now. And then they update the graphic, but they're always behind, so I want to start my show and kind of get a fresh out the kitchen. Remember to check the ticker up top. Breaking news, Billy Napier just fired. I already covered it. We'll talk about it once I get, kind of through some of my show. All right, so here's a look at the Coaches Poll. You can look at the Coaches Poll right here and kind of see a snapshot of where teams are ranked. And again, I'll go over the AP Top 25. And yes, I'm with you. The polls mean nothing. They don't. The Coaches Poll, the AP Poll, they don't mean anything, okay? So if you want to save yourself any sort of anxiety or like you don't care, and I get it. There's a lot of people like, well, rankings don't matter. Everything will play out. I get it, man, but we're talking college football content here, all right? So the rankings are the rankings. I understand fully. The college football playoff rankings are the ones that matter. And even those are make-believe up until the final rankings. So if you're not a rankings person, I totally get it. I totally understand it. But this is a college football show, so just sit back and kick it, all right? Because people will be like, oh, man, I don't like the AP. I don't like the Coaches Poll. I get it. Nobody does. All this is make-believe. This is make-believe news, okay? But this gives you a snapshot of where the coaches see it and where the AP sees it. So that's the disclaimer, all right? And I'll show you the AP as soon as it drops. As soon as I have the graphic, I'll go to the AP. But here's the Coaches Poll. So you have Ohio State at number 1, 7-0. You have Indiana at 7-0. You have Texas A&M at 7-0. You have Bama at number 4. I think they're number 4 in the AP poll as well. You have Georgia, right, 6-1. You have Oregon at 6-1. You have Georgia Tech at 7-0. You have Ole Miss 6-1. Look at all those former assistant coaches that coached here at Alabama, right? Kirby Smart wasn't Lanning here at some point too. Georgia Tech, Brett Key, Lane Kiffin, Mario Cristobal. It's like the former Alabama top 10. That's why Miss Terry was like, "Why would we come back? We want our baby kids to be able to win." See the ticker up top. There's some breaking news as well. All right. So as we continue to look at the Coaches Poll, BYU is 10. Come on, why is one of these teams from the Big Ten continue to be like shoved down our throat in the top 10 rankings? Why? It like weekly we see it. Texas Tech, we saw that. We saw Arizona State, we saw that. It's like they're like, you have to have a Big 12 team in the top 10. No, the team, come on. BYU could not survive SEC. And I'm not just talking smack about that's just facts, bro. It's just facts. Ohio State, they're a great team, okay? Indiana, good team. Much better than I thought they would be, okay? Texas A&M, they're doing work. But this is it, man. And this is the honest to God truth, all right? None of those teams that I just mentioned, nor any of the teams on the board, just beat 4 consecutive ranked teams from the top 25. None of them. So it's like, Yeah, could BYU really, how would they survive in the gauntlet? They wouldn't beat Vanderbilt. They wouldn't beat Missouri. They wouldn't beat Tennessee. I'm sorry, BYU. I love Utah, bro. If I'm going for a hike, I love Utah. If I'm going to Colorado, I love, the state of Colorado. But in terms of like big boy football, get your ass out of here, bro. You don't deserve a seat at the table. In Miami, I have something to tell you in Miami, but I had a whole list of things that I want to talk about before I got to Miami. I'm just saying, it's ridiculous, man. Right? All right. They're saying that the AP poll is ranked, so it dropped. So let's go to the AP poll real quick. I want everybody to freak out. Can you imagine BYU in the SEC? All right. So this is your AP. All right. I appreciate y'all kicking in. If you like the content, if you like to be here, hit the thumbs up. If you don't, I don't care. All right, here's the AP poll. Yes, I know, Billy Napier just got fired. All right, Ohio State, number 1. Okay. What is this, Brooks? Come on, man. Why are you gonna act like that? Indiana, number 2. Number 3, Texas A&M. Alabama, number 4. Georgia, number 5. Oregon, number 6. Georgia Tech, number 7. Ole Miss, Miami, Vanderbilt in the top 10. BYU, Notre Dame, Oklahoma, Texas Tech. Okay? So now that you've seen the rankings, let me go off on each of these teams and tell you the truth about each of these teams. Okay? You guys ready? Okay. Let me ask you a poll inside the comment box. I know it's an Alabama-based show, but look, just answer the honest question, okay? Who would win? Indiana, Bama. Just vote. Just vote. If you don't vote, I don't care. But vote. It's your right. Okay. All right. Here's my reaction to each of these teams in the top 10. All right. I'll talk top 25. Regarding Ohio State, this is a good football team. And one thing that certainly stands out to me when I think about Ohio State is this number right here, 41, okay? 41 with Ohio State. And I talk about, you guys know Matt Patricia? I'm talking about Ohio State and their defensive coordinator, Matt Patricia. This team, honestly, this team right here, this stat is very impressive. Ohio State has only allowed 41 points this season. 41, okay? Now, they haven't played a high level of competition, in my opinion. I mean, I think if you want to see their football schedule, so do I. Okay, so let's look at it. And you're probably like, well, show me their schedule. All right, well, here's their schedule right here. So they beat Texas, they beat Grambling, they beat Ohio, they beat Washington, they beat Minnesota, they beat Illinois, they beat Wisconsin. Okay, so is this a good football team? Yes, this is a good football team. Do they have the best resume overall? No, they don't. I think they have a really good quarterback that used to be over here. I think they got really good wide receivers. I think their defense is good. Only allowing 41 points throughout 7, games is certainly impressive, but you should be doing that when you're playing these type of teams, okay? So Ohio State is still my number 1 team right now in college football, to be honest. But I would say, if I had a vote, I'd be starting to think about casting it towards Alabama. Now, I'm not going to do that to Alabama because I don't want to throw any more rat poison their way. But I have to tell you, what you're doing on the season against quality competition tells me a lot about your overall team. So Ohio State at the number 1 spot. Okay, we got number 2, Indiana. Now, look, I want to talk to you about Indiana, and Ohio State do not play in the regular season. So if those two teams do meet, it will be in the Big Ten championship game. All right. Now, as we look to Indiana, kind of the same thing. And I get it. The Big Ten has produced the last 2 college football national champions. And, the top 3 teams are good football teams. But collectively, the Big Ten is not a good conference. Once you get kind of out of that top 3, it's a big slide. It's like having a bunch of Kentuckys in your conference. Am I right? So a bunch of Kentuckys in the conference. We're looking at Indiana's schedule right here. You got Old Dominion. You got Kennesaw State, Indiana State, okay? Illinois, okay? Iowa. They survived by 5. They beat Oregon, their best win in the program's history, right, by 10. And then Michigan State, they just beat up on by a score of 38-13, okay? So you look to the next couple of games, UCLA, Maryland, Penn State, Wisconsin, Purdue. Indiana's going to be heavily favored in the rest of the way, right? I mean, even that game against Penn State, they're going to be favored, right? I would imagine that this team finishes out the season 12-0, and this is a playoff lock, okay? Now, I would like to show you the play of Fernando Mendoza, because this is a quarterback. I think Fernando Mendoza right now has the best Heisman odds, but I'm going to show you why Ty at least is putting up better numbers than him. And that's not being fancy, it's just being facts. So as we're looking at Fernando Mendoza right now and what he's done on the season, you look to right here, 1,700 yards, 21 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions through the first 7 games of the season. Those are impressive numbers, 100%. Ty's numbers, but before I show you to him, there's 18 touchdowns and 1 interception. And you see the teams that he's played, right? 4 consecutive teams that are in the top 25, whereas Indiana has only played 2. In fact, Indiana's only played 3 top 25 teams in the last 2 seasons. Isn't that wild? All right, so there is Indiana at number 2. You have Texas A&M. Now, when we look to a team like Texas A&M, let me ask you this. Is Texas A&M the real deal? Honestly, are they? Do you feel that Mike Elko really has a team that can win the national championship? That's what I mean by a team that is for real. Now, for me, I think that Texas A&M is a good football team for sure. When I look at their schedule, there's a couple things that stand out to me. I guess the win against Notre Dame by 1 point, that stands out. The 6-point win against Auburn, you're like, what? They beat Mississippi State. They beat Florida. They beat Arkansas. I'm going to tell you what, right here against Texas A&M, their schedule, they have not played a lot of tough teams. They have not gone through like a gauntlet of a type season. This schedule has worked out well for Texas A&M. I think their quarterback is very good. I think they got, pretty good defense. But overall, I think that this team, kind of on the back end, can Texas A&M even survive this back end stretch, right? LSU going on the road to Missouri. I think they'll win that game. So, and then they play Texas on the back end. So I don't know if Texas A&M can weather the storm throughout this. It's not overly challenging, but in terms of being a top 3 team, I don't know how I feel about that. So Texas A&M, I kind of felt the same way about Ole Miss. I just, jury's still out for me, honestly, on Texas A&M. All right, how about Alabama? Well, we saw Alabama. We know what Alabama's been doing. I'll bring up Alabama's schedule, though, and just to prove a little bit of my point. And I see people be like, well, they lost to Florida State. Yeah, they did lose to Florida State. They did. That was back on August 30th. And all teams since then have had an opportunity to get better or worse. Really. All teams, all coaches, all players, just like every single day in life, you have a chance to get either better or worse. And I think for Alabama, nobody's trying to hide that loss. In fact, you bring that loss to the table and you're like, look, this is what I have done. This is what I failed to do at the beginning of the season, but I had an opportunity as a coach, as a player, to get better or worse. And here's what I've done since then. Did I quit on my team? Did I fire my coach? Did I go bury my head? Was the season over after that? Was it shameful? Was it embarrassing? 1,000,000%, in all those different ways, right? But the job wasn't over, and that wasn't the end of our season. So we had an opportunity to turn a negative into a positive. And what we did as a team, when we had a team meeting, right, when everybody wanted DeBoer fired and everything like that, we chose to lock in, right? And we chose to take a step forward. And the only thing that we can do was a 1-game season. And that's all we did. And we chose to do everybody against us mentality, right? So Louisiana Monroe, you're up next. Buzzsaw, 73-0. Wisconsin, sleepy game. You got to come with it at 11 a.m. 38-14, took care of them. Huge game going up against Georgia. And you're starting to see how good Georgia football is, right? After beating Ole Miss, who was undefeated, you go to Athens, and you take care of business 24-21, right? Huge win. Out of all the teams that I just showed you, fam, all the teams that I just showed you, who has a better win than winning at Georgia? Does Ohio State? Does Indiana, right? Does A&M? None of those teams have a better win on their schedule than beating Georgia at Georgia, right? Then you took care of Vanderbilt, Diego Pavia coming in. Then you took care of Missouri, right? Then you took care of Tennessee. What do all 4 of those teams have in common? They're all ranked in the AP top 25, and you took care of all of them. In fact, right now, when you look to the AP top 25, Alabama has wins against Georgia and against Vanderbilt right here, right? And Vanderbilt, obviously, is new to the top 10. So Alabama has 2 wins against top 10 teams. This is by far is the toughest schedule in college football that you're looking at, and Alabama's been slicing through it, okay? So next for Alabama, we'll talk about this on the back end. You got South Carolina, you got LSU, Oklahoma. The schedule doesn't even get easier, okay? And I'll tell you what, this is the first thing that I tell my team. Whenever Coach Kalen DeBoer was able to talk to the guys, I'm like, look, I hope you smoked your cigar. I hope you had some rest, but we turned the page, okay? Because we still haven't clinched, and you're going to hear me say this again and again. We still haven't clinched a spot in the SEC championship game, and we haven't clinched a spot at the playoff game. And there's still people out there that feel, right, that we don't deserve to be here. So, South Carolina, this is what you call a trap game, okay? You don't overlook South Carolina. South Carolina, I tell them this. Look, South Carolina feels that they should have beat us last year. And you know what? If there was 7 more minutes on that clock, they should have, okay? So, their quarterback is dangerous. We don't overlook this team. We don't sleep on South Carolina. This is a 1-game season. You block out all the noise and you go to Columbia and you take care of business. 1,000,000%, right? Let's see what Coach Smith has to say. People responding to Coach Smith inside the comment box. He says, take away Georgia, Vandy, Missouri. Take away Bama, UGA, Vandy, and Missouri. We will be undefeated. Yeah. What's up, Coach Smith? See you inside the comment box. So this is the rest of the schedule. Look, LSU is going to present challenges, of course. Good quarterback. Same thing with Oklahoma. And then Auburn on the back end there, just because that game is, haunted or whatever. So 1-game season until you're literally done with the entire season. That's how you have to handle this in this world of college football. All right, we have number 3. You got Texas A&M, Bama. We got Georgia. We got Oregon. Look, how are we feeling about Oregon, right? They lost by 10 at home. I don't know. I'm comfortable with this top 6, okay? I really am. All right, we look to 8, 9, 10. Ole Miss drops just a couple spots down 3 after losing to Georgia. Miami, all right, let me tell you about Miami. And this is what is interesting to me about Miami. All right, so, okay, listen up, eyes up. Does anybody know? Here's your trivia question. I'm talking about Miami. Okay, Miami just lost to unranked Louisville, okay? That was Friday night. When Alabama lost to Florida, does anybody know how many spots that Alabama dropped in the AP poll? Does anybody know? That's your trivia question. How many spots? I posted it on the Facebook channel. Does anybody know? I'll go full screen for a second. When Alabama lost to Florida State, they dropped 13 spots. 13, okay? Miami dropped 7, okay? The quarterback threw 5 interceptions. I know it was 4, but unofficially he threw 5. Let's call it what it was. He threw 5, okay? So they dropped 13. That's why Alabama has to, of course, remain with its heads on a swivel because of the Bama fatigue. You lose 1 game, Bama, boom, you're done. You see trolls inside the comment box already saying the loss to Florida State should knock you out of the playoffs. That is the mentality of the nation. The nation outside of, look, ESPN needs Bama to win. All the major YouTube channels need Bama to win because they function, they're Bama based. Let's face it, let's call it what it is, right? But outside of that, the nation is against Bama. So as soon as Bama loses 1 time, whew, that's it. Roast them. Can you imagine a loss to South Carolina? If Alabama loses to South Carolina this Saturday, Alabama will be from ranked 20 to 25. 100%. You will not see that team will fall so fast because people want to see Bama fall, right? Those are facts. Miami, the worst thing that happened to Notre Dame right here was Miami losing. And I'll tell you why when I show you the ACC standings. That loss to Miami, if Miami wins the rest of the way, Notre Dame's out because Miami beat Notre Dame head-to-head. So if you're not a Notre Dame fan, and we constantly complain about Notre Dame's probably out of the playoffs because Miami lost. So Maybe that was kind of a silver lining for us. But who do you want in the playoffs, Miami or Notre Dame? I don't care. All right, you got Vanderbilt at the number 10 spot. This Diego Pavia guy, he's an absolute menace. I'm going to show you the SEC standings in just a second. But Diego Pavia, he's a menace, and he's a problem. And I knew that they would beat LSU. This team is certainly dangerous. Let's look at Vanderbilt's schedule real quick and see the games remaining. Because as we kind of look to what teams could potentially make the SEC championship, I think we got to turn the page to 2025 right here. All right, so Charleston Southern, Virginia Tech, South Carolina, Georgia. They haven't played the toughest schedule, but they did play Alabama relatively close. I mean, you take away that interception. I mean, Vanderbilt was driving in that game. I mean, we all saw it. But they took care of LSU, and now they're back in. They got Missouri. That's going to be one hell of a game. Who wins, Vanderbilt or Missouri? I'm going to say Vanderbilt, right? The game is in Nashville. Actually, isn't game day going over there, right? I don't even think I posted that poll. Oh, I never posted that poll, fam. My bad. Here's their poll to vote on. So let's see. Vanderbilt, okay, they'll beat Missouri. I don't know if they beat Texas. And I say that not because I don't think that Texas is a better team than Vanderbilt. I just, for whatever reason, Texas will keep winning these weird games, right? And they'll beat Vanderbilt, and people will think they're bad. It'll be the weirdest thing. Texas football is weird right now. They should beat Auburn. They should beat Kentucky, and Tennessee and Vanderbilt will be a hell of a game. I don't think that Vanderbilt has enough in the tank to get to the SEC championship game. Impressive that they're in the top 10. BYU, how the hell are these guys 11? Man, let's look at their schedule real quick. I can't, man. And people are, man, like, what do you have against BYU? Nothing. I'm just like, there's always these teams in college football that you're like, how are these teams here? Come on. Like, if they played a SEC schedule, and I know that's like, is that your only argument? Yeah. Come play more teams that are more competitive. Look at BYU's schedule right here. Portland State, Stanford, East Carolina, Colorado, West Virginia, Arizona, where they went into 2 overtimes, and then they beat Utah by 3. And you're telling me that this team is the 11th best team in the country? You're telling me, let me ask you, inside the comment box, would Vanderbilt, yes or no, who wins? Vanderbilt, or let's look at a lower SEC team. Okay, how about this? Does BYU beat Tennessee? Yes or no? How about this? Does BYU beat LSU? Does BYU beat South Florida? And if you just said no to all those teams, man, right? I think you say no. I think BYU is 0-3 against all those teams that I mentioned. So, but they gotta shove a Big 12 team down your mouth. They have to. It's either gonna be Texas Tech, Iowa State. There's a new Big 12 team every single week that they put in here, and they're all terrible. And you know what? Arizona State, they beat Texas Tech, right? You guys remember what happened when Arizona State was talking and they came and got punched in the mouth by Mississippi State? There you go. It's facts. I'm not making that up. That happened. So, all right. Who else we got? Notre Dame. Okay, these guys are going to keep winning, but hopefully they get knocked out. I don't know. I get tired of talking about Notre Dame. They get so much credit for winning games. It's crazy. You have Oklahoma. All right, up 1 spot. You have Texas Tech, who dropped 7 spots. They should really be out of here. And then, let's see. You have kind of the rest of the pack, which is Virginia, Tennessee, blah, 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 blah. So, I mean, look, here we are with the rankings, but kind of getting back to it. And I want to look at, and the coaches poll relatively still the same. You based off the AP, right? There's not a huge discrepancy. Here's kind of my cutoff value for the SEC. Let me ask you this inside the comment box. How many teams from the SEC will make the playoffs? 5 or 6? Here's kind of the cutoff line, and these are all updated this morning. So I put the cutoff line at, I guess, 5, right? Maybe 6. And it's not these particular teams. I mean, because, teams are going to win and lose. But I think 5 teams, just to give you kind of an idea. And if you look overall right here, look at the depth of the SEC. It's crazy. 7-0, 6-1, 6-1, 6-1, 6-1, 6-1, 6-1, 5-2, 5-2. Man, that's crazy. Mr. Archives, what's up? It says 3 or 4. Man, I think you got to go with 5, maybe 6, like Fromm is saying. You imagine if they get 6 in? You're like, how could they get 6 in? Well, look at all these teams, right? All right, next conference we go to is the ACC. Okay, so let me look at this real quick. So you have Georgia Tech, who's currently 7-0 overall, right? You have Virginia, who is 6-1, and then against the ACC, you have SMU, who's undefeated. I don't know what's going to happen here. How many make it from the ACC? And I ask this because do we put a cutoff line at 1, or do we put a cutoff line at 2 if Miami is, okay. So if Miami wins out, I have 2 teams going, but I don't know if Miami will play in the ACC championship game. You see what I'm saying? So I think, let's just say, hypothetically, it's like Georgia Tech and like SMU for the ACC title game. That is going to be a playoff play-in game. And then I think Miami, because they'll be, let's just say they're 11-1, you take in Miami. So that's the only way I think that the ACC gets 2 teams in. Am I tripping, or does that sound right? Miami, in that spot that Miami will take, they will take it over Notre Dame, because Notre Dame will be like, yo, here we are. And Miami will be like, well, we beat you. And Notre Dame will be like, but we're Notre Dame. All right, here's the Big Ten right here. All right, so the Big Ten is, I think that 3 teams get in for the Big Ten, right? And I have this circled down here, or at least highlighted, Oregon. And I would imagine, Oregon wins out. I have Oregon finishing at 11-1, right? Oddly enough, Indiana, Ohio State, and Oregon don't play each other this year. All right, I mean, Oregon and Ohio State. So Indiana beating Oregon, that helps them so much, because now it'll be Indiana and Ohio State, if that makes sense, in the Big Ten championship game. Whereas Oregon, the rest of their schedule is pretty favorable. So I have them finishing 11-1, probably Indiana finishing 12-1, and Ohio State finishing I guess 13-0, 12-0, whatever it is. So maybe 3 teams from the Big Ten. And then over here in the Big 12, I guess we're just taking 1 team, right? BYU, or the winner of this conference. I mean, Cincinnati's undefeated in Big 12 play as well. Interesting to look at. I mean, other teams, I guess, that could get hot, maybe like Houston or something like that. So I guess, if you wrap it up, you probably have 5 teams from the SEC, 3 from the Big Ten, that's 8 teams. You add in maybe 2 from the ACC, that's 10 teams. You add 1 from the Big 12, that's 11 teams. And then one of those odd conferences, like a South Florida, right? I guess the thing that bodes well for Miami, if they get caught in that 12 spot, is they have a win over Notre Dame and they have a win over South Florida. So Miami chances of still getting in the playoffs are high. They just have to win out, right? But since they beat South Florida and since they beat Notre Dame, which are 2 other bubble teams, probably bodes well for the Hurricanes. Just saying. But it still was embarrassing as hell to lose like that. All right. Following last night's 37-20 victory, kind of turning the page to, more wrap up for Alabama defeating Tennessee. Man, that was another quality victory. And I think it wasn't a perfect game. And I think there's opportunities where Tennessee probably wakes up this morning and feels like they should have, they had opportunities in this game where things shouldn't have gone this or that. That's a sign of a good football team and a bad football team. Tennessee did have opportunities. And I think one of the biggest catalysts to this game was the, interception return for officially 98 yards. But if you listen to me, it's 100 yards. This game, this particular play was a backbreaker. And I would imagine that Daniel Moore probably paints this as well. There's a lot of action in this. You got Caden Proctor, you got Terrell Owens, you got Jackson Lloyd. There's the whole crew, and you got Tennessee just kind of down here and be like, man, we are low down. Look how low down we are. We're down here over here while this guy's up here succeeding. This play, was one of the best plays and most exciting plays that we've had in such a long time. You know, we haven't had like a big kickoff return. We haven't had many over-the-top touchdowns. But this play right here for 98 yards on the pick six was absolutely ridiculous and really something that turned the tide. Because if Tennessee scores that, right, then it's 16-14 at halftime. Tennessee came out. They're able to score a touchdown. Who knows? I mean, it takes away the whole momentum. So this was one hell of a play. When you go to game balls of this game, man, you have Daniel Hill, who did an amazing job. This guy, I've been asking you guys to highlight number 4 for a long time. 4 is a great guy. I don't know if you've been following. So every once in a while I play Alabama's. I'm playing the Dynasty on college football. And what am I, like 2 seasons in? 3 seasons in? Yo, anyways, my running back is Daniel Hill. And I'm not lying. Has anybody seen me play with Daniel Hill? It's crazy. I'm running for like 200 yards a game with Daniel Hill. I'm on pace for like 2,000 yards, okay? What I caution you is by saying this. Don't throw other running backs under the bus. For whatever reason, those other running backs, you know, they couldn't get it going last night. And I felt like Jan Miller, for whatever reason, is kind of running more east to west. He's a north-south guy, okay? So is Daniel Hill. But I love Daniel Hill on the toss sweep. And then when you have Kevin Riley, he's more your speed back. So I'm throwing screens to Riley. You know, I'm hitting Riley off in, you know, like a 2nd and 2 or something like that. I'm giving Daniel Hill the ball on maybe, if you're going to run the ball on first down, go with him. Goal line, go with him. Jam is your all-purpose back. But I'm going to tell you what, and this is why Alabama continues to win, and this is why Alabama is going to continue to win a lot of games, is the depth flex. Nowhere else in the country could you go and just sub out guys like Jan Miller and have another guy come right in. Could you sub out Quay Rusaw and have another guy come right in? Could you sub out Ryan Williams? Think about what I'm about to say, which is scary, okay? If you took out, we already saw this, you took out Jan Miller, could you function? Well, yeah, we saw it. Okay. Well, if you took out Ryan Williams, could you function? What I mean by that, could you win games? Oh, yeah, he didn't catch a pass again. Jan Miller didn't play, you know, first couple games. Oh, but we want some, okay. Could you win games without Ryan Williams? Well, yeah, he didn't even catch a pass against Missouri. Could you win a game without Quay Rusaw? Oh, yeah. Well, you know, we got Yanzi Pierre. Could you win a game without starting Damani Jackson? Oh, yeah, you started Dejon Lee. You see what I'm saying? That's the thing. And I'll tell you what, the quarterback room is just as deep. We just don't know it because we haven't seen a lot of opportunities. But that's the difference between Alabama in this day of NFL when you have to win 16, 17 games. The depth flex is crazy. And someone brought up this inside the comment box. Did anybody see Daniel Hill in a pass rush? Oh, my goodness. There was a linebacker who came in. It was in the second half. Daniel Hill took that dude. I'm telling you, he took him about 5 yards back. It was crazy. Daniel Hill, what is he? Officially, I think he's like 248 pounds. I think what this tells us about the running back room is it's the running back room we knew it was going to be. And you have 3 running backs that can do different things. Maybe it was Kevin Riley in the beginning. Maybe it was Jan Miller for those first SEC games. And maybe you got Daniel Hill for the next 3 games. And then maybe after that, who knows? But guess what? There's other running backs here. And guess what? When these guys leave, you have Xavier Crowell coming in. Wild, right? I mean, Daniel Hill looked unbelievable last night. Just in terms of, you're like, man, he's arrived. Ryan Williams, look, guy got his swag back last night. The 3 catches that he made were impressive. Like contested catches, this guy was it. They had to review every catch that Ryan Williams made last night just to like basically see, man, they were like, did he really catch that? I'm telling you, the catches that he makes, you have to rewind them. Even the officials were like, we got to see that again. Oh, yeah, that was tight. Look at how he adjusted his body, turned around, and caught it. They did that, 3 times to him last night? You have the Baba Yaga inside the comment box broke his poor pinky finger. Jumping up and down. Jeremy Bernard, this guy. Let's just post Jerem emoji inside the comment box for 5. I don't want to get through this season and not like give this guy his flowers. But my goodness, Yo, Jerry Bernard, you know what? You know how I was just saying, you take away Jam, you take away Ryan, you take away Quay, you take away Damani. Is the team still, where they need to be? I don't know if you say the same thing about Jerry Bernard, okay? I don't know if you can say the same thing about Jerry Bernard or Ty Simpson. Those two guys are different. Jeremy Bernard, this dude is a dog, okay? Last night on when Gadget Grubbs had Ty kind of throw behind the line, probably about 7 yards. That was a broken play. This dude turned it into an 18-yard gain. This guy led the team in rushing and almost led the team in receiving. He is a menace. And let me ask you this. I always talk about this. Would you want him on your fantasy football team? Yes. Hell yeah, you'd be getting like 25 points a game with this dude. Let's just remember not to forget to hype up Jerry Bernard. Let's do it as many times as possible because that man certainly deserves it. Absolute menace. 100%. I just want to make sure that we take care of hyping him up, Yanzi Pierre, 42. This guy, we've been waiting for him. He had the game that we knew that he could have. We knew that he could be dominant like he was. Keon Keeley, he had a good showing against Missouri. Yanzi Pierre now getting the start with Quay out. Only at Bama could you go to your third-team Wolf player, outside backer, and have him balling out of control. Yo, Yanzi Pierre, you know what? Who said this inside the comment box last night? I want to give you credit. They were like, you know who Yanzi Pierre plays like? And I was like, who? He's like, Dallas Turner. Man, you know what? I was like, I'm not mad at that comparison. That's a hell of a comparison. But Yanzi Pierre is a 5-star. He's ready. Yanzi Pierre is absolutely excellent, playing hell of football. I would imagine he's your SEC Defensive Player of the week, or at least Bama's Defensive Player of the week. Well, you got to share it with Xavier Brown. Xavier Brown over here, there's a little drama going on with the Alabama DBs, right? Who's going to start? Damani Jackson, or, Dejon Lee. On the other side, you have a super sophomore. Started every single game last year, started every single game this year. Yo, Xavier Brown's going to leave here playing, 5,000 snaps or something like that. Xavier Brown with the pick that we're all going to remember for the rest of our lives. That was dope. I mean, the guy's really good. He's been challenged. Corner's the hardest spot to play in my mind in all of college football. And what he did last night was the game-changing play, right? This play this is like a poster. Yeah, all right, Tweet Johns. There you go, bro. Tweet Johns was the one that had the comparison. And this photo we'll remember for the rest of our lives. Look, we are going to remember for a week Yanzi Pierre, right? But this play right here we'll remember forever. This was an eternity play. So he returned it for eternity because it goes into eternity. This is crazy. Look at this. They low down dirty. The Four Stooges. Each of these guys, can you imagine what was going through their head when they saw that? I mean, look at it. They say pictures tell you 1,000 words. Pictures tell you 5 million words when you're wearing that color of orange and you're just shocked. This is crazy. This is my favorite photo that came from the game. Right? All right. Look at this. This is ridiculous. These two stats, what I'm about to talk about, are, these are viral posts. I know when I'm going to post something that's a banger on Facebook, or when I'm about to show you something that is ridiculous, I just know. I'm like, oh, that's it. Because the stats speak for itself. This is crazy. So Ty Simpson starting on the left, right? 1,900 yards. He's almost a 2,000-yard season, okay? So you're like, what does a quarterback throw, 2,000 yards at this point through 7 games? How many interceptions, how many touchdowns? You might be like, I don't know. Maybe close to 2,000 yards, maybe 4 or 5 interceptions. No, this dude, 1,900 yards, 18 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Isn't that crazy? Yo, can we give it up for Ty Simpson? This guy, how would you assess Ty Simpson's play on a scale through 7 games on a scale of 1 to 10? Like a 10, right? This is crazy. What a performance so far. And job isn't done, and I know the Rat Poison Award is out there, the Heisman and all that stuff, and he's right there with Fernando Mendoza. But Fernando Mendoza, 21 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, playing against that competition. Ty Simpson, 1,900 yards, 18 touchdowns, 1 interception, playing this competition. Crazy, right? Shoot. That is wild. Coach Kalen DeBoer over here on the other side. 19-3 versus AP top 25. Outstanding. 6-1 versus AP top 10. These two guys right here absolutely balling out. Isn't it wild? Yeah, aren't these numbers like mind-blowing? Coach DeBoer, Jarvis says this, and I think this wasn't this during like the springtime? Coach DeBoer said that Ty does not turn over the football. He said that he limits mistakes, and I think that was something that Ryan Grubb also was saying. There was like, we want to put the quarterback in that is going to not make bad decisions. You know what? Before I leave this page, it doesn't seem like Ty makes a lot of bad decisions. You see what I'm saying? It's not like he throws a ball where like, oh man, that was like into bad coverage. There was that weird play that he had last night where he like went to throw it and the ball like kind of flew out. I swear, I thought Parker Brailsford was going to catch it. That would have been like his second reception on the season, right? And Coach Kalen DeBoer, 19-3 versus AP top 25 teams. Just outstanding. You look at the coaches right now that are struggling. The coach that just got fired, Billy Napier. You know, last week, James Franklin, probably Mike Norvell, Hugh Freeze. Those guys don't win the big game. This guy does win the big game. Look, 6-1 versus AP top 10. And another coach that I think doesn't win the big game is Lane Kiffin. We love Lane Kiffin, and you can't say anything negative about Lane Kiffin because he's the son of Coach Saban. You know what I'm saying? So, like, even on this channel, if I was to ever say anything negative, I would get crushed because Lane Kiffin is an Alabama guy, 100%. And Alabama fans will protect him forever because he's the son of Coach Saban. He acts like Coach Saban. He wants to be Coach Saban. Even his mannerisms and his humor is exactly. Lane Kiffin is doing everything he emulates Coach Saban. When you watch him, he's funny, right? Great personality. He's like a new age Coach Saban. Even the way he talks with his hands, right? And the things that he says and how he trolls. So you can never say anything about Lane Kiffin, but the truth is he doesn't win big games. He doesn't. And I don't know. Do you think he goes to Florida? I don't. He hasn't made at Ole Miss. And I think he's a great football coach. But I don't think he personally goes to Florida. What's the difference? What would be the difference between going from Ole Miss to Florida, honestly? What? I mean, I would imagine that pretty soon Ole Miss will give him a lifetime contract. I mean, Lane will be making $11 or $12 million soon. Ole Miss doesn't want to lose him. Ole Miss without Lane Kiffin will be irrelevant. All right, couple snaps counts to go through. This was interesting watching Alabama's offensive line. If you're a numbers person like me, I like looking at numbers. So at center, Parker Brailsford clearly played the entire game. At tackle, you had Proctor with 64 snaps. At left tackle, you had Formby with 39 snaps. At right tackle, Michael Carroll at 25 snaps, but he did start the game. At guard, a lot of guys playing guard. Jaden Roberts, 41 snaps. I don't know. Did we hear if Jaden Roberts was healthy, right? I saw him like limping on the sidelines. That poor dude has been so banged up, man. Geno Vandermark, 35 snaps at right guard. Cam Dewberry, 40 snaps at left guard. And the William Sanders, 13 snaps at left guard as well. So, to be honest, I felt, and I did see Wilcom Formby out there making some plays. I saw him holding it down a couple times, 100%. Let's see, Marcus and St. Pete has this. Hey, Kyle, Coach Kiffin
should go to Florida. Florida is bigger brand and produces 4 to 5 times the talent in state. Mississippi Lane would do great things at Florida. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of been the talk, that he could recruit. And, he's been in Florida before, right? He was at Boca Raton. I just think that he's got it made in the shade at Ole Miss. Way less pressure. You win 10. You have to just win 9 to 10 games at Ole Miss, and you're good. That's the standard. That's the bar. Florida, man, Florida's a pressure cooker, right? So do you want to go be in a pressure cooker, especially with what Coach Kalen DeBoer and Kirby Smart, are doing? Probably not. I mean, it sounds maybe enticing, but if you're playing for kind of like, the 9-10 game, you just stay at Ole Miss and think about this. He stays at Ole Miss and makes $11 million a year and wins 9-10 games, maybe makes the playoffs every once in a while. He's young too. What is he, like 43, 45, something like that? We highlighted Daniel Hill. Guy's an absolute monster, right? Hey, if you want to be a fan funder of Bama Football on YouTube, you can hit the join button on your mobile phone. Really easy to do. I'll update, the latest people that have joined. I really appreciate your guys' consideration. Thank you so much for those that have joined and for those of you that are continued fan funders, 100%. Yeah, I see Alex Golish is always a hot name to talk about. As we turn the page real quick to Alabama versus South Carolina on our very way too early preview, still kind of soaking in that victory against Tennessee. You see Ty Simpson up here going up against another quarterback that can do a lot of dangerous things in Lenore Sellers. Ty Simpson, 18 touchdowns, 1 interception on the season. Lenore Sellers, only 5 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, 1,100 yards passing. This is 100% in every single shape and facet form is a trap game. Okay, so I made this little graphic out. And this shows you that this is a rat poison game, okay? You have ESPN saying that you're 82% favored to win this game, and this is rat poison, 100%. So, yeah, I think you go into this, and this is a great coaching moment for Coach Kalen DeBoer, because Bama right now is playing among the best teams in college football. You've seen them the last 4 weeks. It's been a grind. But oddly enough, when you looked at Coach Kalen DeBoer, 19-3 versus AP top 25, all those stats, he loses to unranked teams. It's the weirdest thing. So this week, the challenge is, I think for everybody, is to avoid the rat poison, to block out the outside noise, and to take South Carolina as serious as you did Georgia. You take South Carolina as the most serious game. This is a playoff play-in game. That's how I'm approaching every single game this season. And I'm like, look, we're going to Columbia and we're taking care of business. This team is dangerous. And to be honest, South Carolina does have a couple guys that can eat you up, okay? And we know that one of kind of the weak spots in Alabama is a quarterback that can run. Well, guess what? Have you guys seen Lenore Sellers? He's fast as you know what. So you take care of business, and this is a playoff play-in game. Every single week until, it's all done. Job's not done. This is a hell of a trap game, right? Here's the rat poison. Is it cheese? Is it poison? This game is poison. All right, fam. So that's where we stand right here on Sunday in terms of the AP top 25 and, kind of our way too early look at South Carolina and kind of wrapping up a couple of different points from Alabama versus Tennessee. So hope you guys had a good time on the show following Alabama's 37-20 victory over Tennessee. That was a great win. Tennessee, I thought, pretty good football team. The last 4 teams have been good. Those have all been entertaining games. I've enjoyed this gauntlet of a schedule. Alabama is playing much better than I thought they would be playing. Ty Simpson is operating at an incredibly high level. Coach DeBoer is him. Give that guy a contract. All right? So this team is getting better and better and better. And that's all you can do. Week by week, block out all the noise. Right? So I appreciate you guys kicking it with me on your Sunday. Enjoy your NFL. I'll be back with more content, as always, right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Check out the Facebook channel as well. Grab some good food. Enjoy your family. Enjoy your life. Break bread tonight. If you went to church, pray for us. And most importantly, enjoy your life right here on Bama Football on YouTube. I appreciate y'all for kicking it with me always and turn on those notifications so things are, you're notified when we drop videos. All right? Cool. All right, coming to you from beautiful Tuscaloosa. Oh, we got to do the outro. You guys ready for the outro? Coming to you from beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama on this fine Sunday, October 19th. Thanks for watching on Sunday. News as it happens right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Look at all that smoke. That smoke's from the cigars. All right, love you, fam. I'm out.